This is Addicts Having Coffee, episode 3, take 2.
Thanks, Dalen. Hi, guys, and welcome to Addicts Having Coffee with me, Tony Quinn, where we talk addiction, recovery, and everything in between. Before we begin, I just want to say, yes, we're sitting in a new setup right now. We just really want to show you what the studio in by Red's Imagery in London is really all about. A belt. That's a new word. A boat. And
Shout out
you can.
Toronto. Hey, Canada.
Hey, Canada. A boot. So we're going to show you everything, and there are amazing Montana spray cans, any kind of paint you can think of, and you can just come here and create and craft, and it's beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
I love the vibe here.
So cool.
And on top of that, today's very special because I've got Oratile here with me today, and Ora is one of my closest friends in the entire world, someone I speak to just about every single day, and we check in with each other, make sure each other's doing well. It's a beautiful, beautiful friendship that we've nurtured. But I also met Ora in a recovery space when Ora had just come in to recovery and was asking for help. And I saw you with your pain and I saw you with your struggle, but I also saw you being so open and honest about what you were feeling and what you were dealing with. And I saw you grow in that. I saw you grow from that pain. I saw you move through that pain. And I still see you deal with whatever it is you're dealing with in real time and in the best possible way for yourself. And you are one of the most inspiring people in my life, like a mentor to me, because of the way you see the world and the way you're so present within yourself, even if you're struggling. So it's an honor to have you here, and it's going to be an absolute honor to hear your story. Thank you, Ora. How are you feeling?
I'm nervous, but I'm happy to be here, happy and grateful.
I'm very grateful to have you. And don't be nervous. We know each other. I love that. Don't be nervous. Don't be sad if you're depressed. Just don't be sad.
Yeah, act natural.
Act natural. Everything's fine. Just go touch grass.
Yeah.
Great advice. Ora, like we do in every episode, I think the best place to start when it comes to telling your story is to start at the beginning. Take us through your life.
So I'll say that my addict behavior started very early. I was a really, really introverted child. I know no one ever believes this, but I actually am an introvert in that I prefer like solitude in my own company. But I was a very introverted, very shy child. And I grew up with my cousins. I have a bunch of cousins. My mom has like 8 siblings. And I was always just like very shy to like talk to my cousins and hang out. And they were all like having fun. And I'd always like isolate myself. And so my habit of like keeping things to myself started very, very early. And just having like my own world to escape into started very, very early. I experienced a lot of trauma as a kid. And I'm not really ready to dive into specifics about it. But the outcomes of it were that I never told anyone. And I started acting out really early. I was acting out at school. I was very antisocial. I struggled to get along with other kids, and I did that shape-shifting thing. Where I would try to fit in with this group and this group and that group. And I also was a bit of a klepto in school.
Were you a klepto?
I was a fucking
Tell me,
klepto.
give me klepto stories, because this is actually like a really real thing, and it starts
This is
young.
textbook. I'm going to tell you something so humiliating.
Go for it.
Okay, so one time.
Sorry, I don't know the story, and that's what I love about this.
Oh my god. Okay, so one time I stole this girl's cell phone in school. I had no reason to steal a cell phone. I had a cell phone.
Just took it. Have you told her to this day?
Let me tell you what happened. I stole this girl's cell phone. I didn't switch it off. Does the phone not ring in my pockets in the school assembly? The entire school is there. And they're talking about this stolen cell phone.
Or what?
And I'm like one of like 5 black kids in the school.
No, I can't laugh now.
I have to be the one who's stealing.
Ora.
Yeah. So that happened. Anyway, I was doing a bunch of stuff for attention, and this played out throughout my whole life. The one way I got attention was that I worked really, really hard and I did well at academics, and the other way I got attention was by acting out. Just because I really was so attention seeking, because I felt just malnourished and neglected. But it was never enough. You know, just from a young age, I had that sensation that I never had enough of pleasure, of good things, of love, of whatever. And I took that with me throughout my life. So in school, it was this dichotomy of being like a really great student, really great athlete, and then also just like socially troubled and didn't fit in, struggled to make friends. And when I left school, I went to a different city for university, and I was like, okay, this is my chance to reinvent myself. I'm going to be a whole new person.
Yes.
And yeah, I tried on many different identities, but I also, that's when I first started drinking. And I was immediately hooked on alcohol. From the first time I drank to oblivion, and that never stopped until I stopped drinking. And I just remember how it made me feel. I was like, finally, I fit in. Finally, I'm like chatty. Finally, I know how to get along with people. And that was what I used. And then I started smoking weed. So when I was drinking, I was like a club girl.
Yeah.
And I would get into all like the fancy clubs with my friends. And then when I started smoking weed, I became like an art girl.
Of course.
And I started hanging out with the art students and like the activist students, and that continued. And then this continued throughout the course of my degree. I don't know how I finished my degree. Towards the end, it was really, really hard because I was a raging alcoholic. So,
can I ask what you were studying?
I started out studying finance.
Yeah.
And I just could not maintain that schedule. So I was just like, and I also really just was not interested in business at the time.
At the time.
And I wanted to study something artistic, but my parents just were not going to have that. So I studied politics and economics. My degree's in social sciences.
Wow.
And I loved it. Towards the end, I loved it. I did a minor in history as well. And I love the humanities because they taught me about the world.
Yeah.
But if I went back to university now, I think I'd study something different.
That's interesting. You said the first time you drank yourself into oblivion. Do you remember those moments, like when you first discovered it and you were like, I can talk to people now, I can just exist in the space without, and then like that introverted self can kind of break free in a way with a substance? Do you remember any of that?
Definitely with alcohol. I still maintained some of my antisocial behavior because I struggle to listen. I think at the time I struggled to listen. So I would either just overwhelm people with my overwhelming emotions or like dance in a corner by myself. But what I did notice about alcohol is that it allowed me to be part of something.
Got you.
Because at that time, drinking culture, I think even now, maybe less so, but drinking culture was completely normalized. So being one of the other young people who was drinking was something that I kind of based my identity around.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I also did that. Like for me, that was the one thing I knew everyone did. And I can be around these people because I do this with them in a way. And I do it the most in the sickest way possible. And take us through that process. So you got through university.
I did.
Yeah.
I managed because there's no ways I was coming home without a degree. My parents wouldn't have it.
I don't know how I got through university. I don't remember most of university, but I got through. It's like you do that. You can still like kind of maintain the culture that you're stuck in. And did you enjoy it at the time? The drinking, the partying, like were there any consequences, or was this just something so normalized and a part of your life?
It was completely normalized until I started using cocaine.
Okay.
And that was probably like in my last like 2 years of university. Until I started using harder substances, I was a part of the community of other students. But then when I started, staying up all night with like a certain group of people, and they decided, actually, we need to like focus on school, I just found other people to use drugs with. So I started becoming ostracized.
Yes.
Yeah, the further and further I got into my addiction.
That's interesting. What do you remember the first time you did cocaine?
No, I think it might have been.
Feeling.
I think it might have been at Lamed in Clifton.
Of course,
like
it was in Clifton.
Yeah, of course. I think so. I don't remember. It's not clear, but I do remember I loved it because I could drink more.
That's what I was going to ask you, because it seems like alcohol was a huge part of how you were moving in university. And that was a big thing for me when it came to uppers or substances like uppers. Because when I drank, I would black out. I would do stupid things. I would wake up in the morning, look at my phone and see who I had offended the night before, who I had harmed, where I woke up, whose house was I in. And as soon as I found the uppers or the substances like that, it almost makes you think you're sober while high because it's taken away the effect of the drinking in your head. And I so get that process of going from friend groups and being a part of something, going to Lamed with a group of people, and they're your people, and it's where you party, it's where you enjoy yourself, finding a substance with those people even. And then the bag is finished, but you want more, and they are okay to continue with their night without it. That's when I started to realize, I think I was like, maybe I do have a problem, but I didn't want to admit how real it was then.
Didn't clock it personally.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had a problem until I was in rehab.
That does happen as well.
Yeah.
That's a big, the denial is a huge part. Not even denial. Sometimes if there's not, like, we live in a world where people are like, there needs to be this one massive consequence, this one massive rock bottom, this one horrific story that makes you realize I have a problem. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just this hard truths from other people, a counselor, or you're sitting with yourself and what you've done and reflecting, where you can come to terms with the fact that, hey, this is a problem.
Yeah, I surrounded myself with people who are like me.
Yeah.
So, the crashing of cars, the getting into toxic relationships, all of that was it was terrible to experience, but no one called me out on it.
Yeah.
And no one offered me help, or no one tried to have a conversation with me around it. So I just continued.
Yeah.
And also I was living so far away from my family, so they kind of would get wind of things, but I always lied and manipulated and explained it away. But by the time I finished uni and I came home and I was drinking a bottle of wine every day, my parents intervened and they were like, you have to go to rehab. And I was like, no, I'm fine.
You're good.
Yeah.
What happened in that time from when you got home to when you did see your parents, Nate? What were the signs that they saw that were things that triggered them saying, no, you need help?
So I was drinking at home alone every day. I'd never job. I'd finish school. I'd never job. And I would drink a bottle or two of wine every day. And I completely isolated myself. I'd stay in my room. And when they would interact with me, I would be clearly very hungover, or I'd be on another substance. So I was active at home in front of my parents. And when I see people who are in that condition now, I'm just like, this is so clearly a cry for help. You are destroying yourself in front of people who care about you, and at the same time asking them not to try and help you. And I just never understand the reasoning behind that, but it was just very clear that something was wrong with me.
That breaks my heart. You put that into perspective. Are you harming yourself in front of people that care about you and you don't want the help, but it is this unconscious, maybe conscious decision to say, please help me. I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling. So you were completely isolated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't contact any of my friends because we all finish and then we go back to our respective towns, and other people had started their adult lives, but I was in this very arrested development phase of my life. So I went to treatment, and that's when I realized I had a problem. But I mean, it didn't stick.
What kind of treatment facility was it? Was it like one that taught 12 steps, or was it just a detox or anything like that?
Yeah, we had some 12-step experience, and they take us to meetings, but it was also very therapy based, very group therapy, peer support group vibes. But I never felt I was a part of, and I think this was just a racial gender issue that I experienced at the rehab that I went to.
That reminds me of in the beginning when you discussed school and you said you were one of 5 Black kids in the school, and then you move into a rehab facility and you feel like there's something off there. With that, would you say those two things were quite similar?
I mean, yeah, that's just been my life.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really explain the impact as it relates to my addiction, because I do believe that I was born an addict, and I believe that addicts are born. In fact, I think, this is just my opinion, that everyone is an addict. We just get addicted to things that will kill us. But when I interact with just regular people, people have sugar addictions, shopping addictions, work addictions, gym addictions, sex addictions, and it's fine. They're just living their lives. They've figured out a way to manage regular life.
Yeah, it's not that specific addiction isn't harming them financially, mentally, emotionally, or impacting the other people around them. And if it does, that's when it could be, in my opinion, classified as an addiction, like a real, like a problem, like something that needs to be worked on.
Yes.
Or it can be manageable, like cross addictions are manageable.
Yes.
That was so interesting.
But
So you
I
believe,
do think that addiction, as I think it pertains to just humanity, I think that we all have the archetype of the addict within us.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing, I think she's a spiritual intuitive. Her name's Caroline Myss. Her book is called Anatomy of the Spirit. And she discusses this theory that human beings have the archetype of the addict. And it's because I believe that we want to give our power away to something because we don't know how to manage our own power and we don't know how to manage ourselves.
Wow.
And so we become addicted to suffering and we become addicted to what we think life is about. And if you experience certain things like at a very young age, you're just like, oh, okay, life is about pain and trauma and getting, not getting what I want and being disappointed. And you get hooked on the emotions that creates. And when I started getting this, when I came back to recovery, that's what I actually started working on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll obviously get into everything you worked with in recovery because I'm very interested in hearing about your recovery process. I feel your recovery process is one of the most interesting and, like, I don't know, educational. Sitting down with you and discussing recovery with you is a powerful thing, and allowing space for communication and listening is a beautiful thing. You went to that rehab.
Yeah.
You went to that 12 steps. Again, you felt like that disconnected feeling. And how long were you in there for?
A month.
So you did a month. And do you think you went, and I ask everyone this, if you went to that facility, you went because your parents wanted you to go, and it was like to appease them and get them off your back? Yeah.
1,000,000%. To be honest, everything I did in my life up until that point, and maybe up until very recently, was in some kind of response to my family.
Yeah.
Either I'm going to get their attention, or I'm going to do this to make them happy, or I'm going to do this to rebel, or whatever. And I think that's just childhood.
Yeah.
Except mine was very extended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you did the month in there. Did you go through, and I ask you, this is another thing. I feel like I'd been to rehab a few times, and a lot of the time it was to appease people. I wasn't ready to see everything. I was very ready to judge everyone in the facility. Either I'm more of an addict than them, I love that one, or I'm less of an addict than them. And it's just a way of separating myself from everyone else. When you did the group stuff and the peer stuff, were you taking anything in at that point, or were you kind of manipulating the system just to get through?
I really struggled to surrender. I really struggled to admit that I had a problem. I think because of what you're saying, that I couldn't identify with anyone, and I struggled to identify with other people's stories because I think also the kinds of substances I was using are called party drugs, and they're very social, whereas the people I was inside with were on substances that are more isolating.
Yeah.
I was never really somebody who used alone. It was always a very social experience. So
except the drinking, and that we're also good at separating that as a substance.
Yeah, because I actually would drink alone, you're right. And that's what got me into treatment. So yeah, I didn't feel a part of, and I think that's why I struggled to actually accept my addiction. What really helped me though is that there was a woman I was in there with, and she did that thing where she started dating someone in the rehab.
Everyone does the thing where you date someone in the rehab. Did you ever date anyone in rehab?
No.
Same.
No, it's only they're drug addicts.
That's my type.
I know. I was like, okay, look, I know I'm a drug addict, but
you're my type.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. No, okay, no, the truth is, no one wanted to date me. Okay, that's all. Like, it was just like the men were too old or too young, so it just wasn't gonna work out. This girl was dating a guy in the rehab, and she was hooked on cat. Is Cat's the one where you can get high and then still clean the house?
Yes.
Is that meth?
They both, but Cat is less.
Cat.
Yeah, it's cheaper. Well, not cheaper. Meth and Cat, actually, they're the same. It just keeps you can sleep better on Cat. Like, you'd be awake for 4 days as opposed to 7.
Yeah, she was very proud of the fact that she could maintain a job and clean her house and da-da-da.
Yeah, that's Cat. That's not meth.
Right,
yeah.
and that's her DOC. And she was very together, you know? And she fell in love with this guy who was a heroin addict. And she was doing all right. But then they both got kicked out of the rehab together.
Yeah.
And this is in like my last week. And she was like one of the few people I kind of bonded with. And she went out with him and got high and overdosed and passed away within like 2 days.
That breaks my fucking heart. I'll tell you guys, like, you know, we can joke about the rehab relationships, and I did get into those. I mean, my first relationship in recovery was someone I met at a halfway house, and that resulted in him getting kicked out of the halfway house, and I put him in danger. And I think back at all the people who do find relationships because you're seeking something in addiction. You're seeking, for me, I was seeking something. For this girl you met, woman you met, she was seeking something. He was seeking something. And you think it's going to be okay, and you can romanticize the whole situation. Like, we can leave, we can go magically get an apartment, magically get jobs, and use successfully. And there's so much death that comes with that, especially when you come out of a facility, you use a substance you haven't used in a while, and your heart can just give up. That's did you hear about her passing while you were in the rehab? So that happened that quickly when
Within
she
48
left.
hours.
48 hours.
And I left like the day after I heard that, and it just, I think it made me try to reel myself in. But I relapsed maybe 6 months after coming out of treatment because I didn't change anything. So
Sorry, my heart, I can see the pain in your eyes thinking
Yeah.
about that young woman. I can see the pain there. Like, there's that feeling is devastating. It's
Yeah.
devastating.
yeah, when we lose someone to addiction, you know how unnecessary it is when you have found a solution, and it's heartbreaking. That's why we do what we do.
At 100%, for all those people's memories, all of them. You know, you can stop someone going down that road. Their memory was for that purpose, to help another human being. And thank you for sharing that story. I think that's a very important one to share, and it's not something people really talk about. We laugh about like rehab romances, but a lot of the time, and not all the time, a lot of the time they can end really horrifically. And it's not because people think they're going to end horrifically. You know, you can really think you're in love with someone.
Yeah, and because we cheat death all the time.
Yeah, it's never going to touch me. It's never going to touch me. One of my greatest lies telling myself in active addiction was, if insert name isn't dead from my drug of choice, from crystal meth, yet I love this crystal.
I was about to say, poor Crystal.
I'm sorry, this is actually good energy.
Yeah.
So I lost
In my mind, I was like, can we snort it?
Well,
Can we grind it out?
do you have a pestle and mortar?
Focus.
Okay, we having the most actually heartfelt discussion, and this is what happens. Let me give you insight. When we are dealing with pain and grief, some of us deal with it differently. We're having a really serious moment, and I had to make a crystal meth joke because I'm unhealed.
No, you're good.
Am I okay?
Yeah, you're so serene. I love it.
Okay, I'm serene, I swear. And I lost my train of thought about the memories of people we lose.
Yeah.
Like, being able to laugh as well now is healing. There's something healing in that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was talking to you about just the levity of being able to reflect, like we were saying earlier, that it's okay to laugh now because we survived.
Yeah,
We survived and we live to tell the tale, and there's so many that haven't.
100%.
But I want to keep laughing, and I want to keep living, and I want to keep being able to tell these stories because it's the pain and the suffering where we learn the most.
Yeah.
And if you can make it through, then you have some wisdom and you have some courage, and that's something you can use to help the next person.
100%. And I just remembered what I was trying to say, but we took a really long route to get there. I do apologize.
We love a detour.
When I was in active addiction, like we're talking about losing people, you know how like our lies progress, our lies to ourselves and obviously to other people, but the lies to ourselves, where it starts with, this makes me more social. And then for me, well, I actually prefer being on my own anyway, to, well, if insert name isn't dead from my substance of choice yet, I'll be fine. and then that person does die. That person does die. And then the next lie I would tell myself was, I don't fear death. And I'm telling you, I feared death. Like I would have those like really rushing heart rates or throwing up bile, so much bile, and lying on the side of the road and seeing blood in the bile. And all of a sudden I find a God that I've struggled to find. And I'm like, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. And it's just this continuation of lies. So when you see it play out in front of you with someone you care about, and you're in a sober environment, because you might not necessarily want to be where you are, but you don't have access to substances, and you learn of someone's passing, that hits people very hard in that space. Did you ever speak about, I know I'm going a bit into detail with this, but I think a lot of people need to maybe understand the gravity that comes with that. Like, were you spoken to in that facility and taken through what actually happened? Like, were you able to access what you were feeling around that?
I left shortly after I found out, but what I will say is that the staff of the facility didn't have a lot of empathy for her. And it was just like a look at what happens.
Yeah, it's a teaching moment.
Yeah, and that's a human being, and your job is to help addicts.
Yeah.
So I thought that they could have handled delivering that message just with more compassion for two people who were definitely in pain.
Yeah.
One who lost their life to their pain, and someone else who has to live with the fact that, you know, he is a part of the end of her time on earth. And that's a hard burden to bear, no matter who you are.
100%. And there is that thing in a lot of facilities, and there's so much I get in the beginning of recovery, if you want to call it that, or rehab or sobriety, where yes, there's a lot of time I really needed to be hard on myself, see my part in things, and take responsibility and accountability for the pain I caused the people in my life as well as myself. I needed to do that. But I find sometimes what's missing, and I don't need to be nurtured in that space. I don't need someone to go, it's okay, pour you, pour me a drink. But it would be nice to know once in a while that, hey, you're a human being. You're not a monster. You know, this is a loss. Or the pain you're feeling, it might come from something else, but you're feeling it right now, and that means it's real. Let's move through it, because you are a human being. And I feel a lot of that can be taken away in facilities because people are too scared to do the poor me, nurture the addict, like take responsibility, but also we don't need to be self-flagellating the whole time.
I think our society doesn't want to deal with people who have problems.
Yeah.
So we put them away in jails and institutions because we don't want to confront the parts of our humanity that are uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah.
So yeah, why empathize with that drug addict? You know, they're doing it to themselves, or whatever the case is. But that's a person with a problem, and they're not the only one. This is what's the word? This is so prevalent in our society. Why don't we confront why people are suffering so much instead of just, you know, hating on people?
Exactly, because that's easier. That's just easier. So thank you for this conversation. I can't explain how I feel after having that conversation. I just feel good. I just feel good. Like that was important. Ora, thank you for sharing that. So you left soon after that. And then you say you went out and you said something I found very important. You said you left, you relapsed 6 months later because nothing changed. Take us through that, because that is such an important thing.
Yeah.
That's an important thing.
I moved out of rehab and I got a job so I actually went for a job interview while I was in rehab. Okay. And then I went back to rehab after my job interview. And then I got the job, and then I started working. And then I moved out of home and I moved into an apartment, and I started doing my yuppie thing. You know, I've got my job, I've got my apartment, I've got my city friends, and I'm going to act like I'm Carrie Bradshaw, and it's all cute.
Sex in the City.
Yeah, right. So did that, but I just stayed friends with all the people that I had been friends with before. I just became the sober one in the group of people who use substances. And my recovery then had no shelf life, because they didn't understand that I was an addict. I knew I was an addict, but this is just after 2010, before 2020.
Yeah.
No one is talking about having gone to rehab
Yeah.
and like what maintaining a recovery requires.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't working a program. I alienated myself from anybody who could have helped me because I was just like, no, they're all whites, they don't understand. And that was my excuse. And so, yeah, I just went back into my little bubble and I relapsed after 6 months and I cross addicted and I smoked weed heavily for maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And then I started planning my relapse on alcohol. Well, I was already in a relapse, excuse me. Then I started planning how I was going to drink. But my thing with alcohol is that if I start drinking right now, I will have ruined my life within like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
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 It's just so intense.
I saw you when I met you. It was just after something. Sorry, we're jumping backwards and forwards in time, but I know you would do that.
Yeah.
So it was the weed and then the alcohol.
Yeah.
And also going out with to the same places,
Everything
people,
was the same.
places, things the same.
Yeah.
You also touched on something there that I found super interesting, is saying they didn't understand you were an addict because the alcohol, the party drugs, or drugs in general are so normalized around society in general, friends in general, and they may not be struggling. They may be able to go out, drink, take a party drug, go home, get up and go to work the next day. And then for people that are suffering and just for an addict in general, it's that process of, but I can't stop. And it's so difficult for people who aren't in it to understand how you can't stop. Like that's, don't you have self-control? Just stop. Just keep the bag under your pillow and come back to it in 2 weeks. No. No, I will eat the rest of the packet when it's finished. You know? Like just that kind of stuff. It's really hard for people to get around it. And when it's so normalized, it makes it so much easier to go back to and get away with for a longer period of time.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I just surrounded myself and kept myself with people who were just like me, doing exactly what I was doing. And I became my blast radius got smaller in that I wasn't like crashing as many cars and I wasn't just like as outwardly destructive. It became very much inward.
Yeah.
Of course, addiction is always degrading to the self, but I think because of my experience in treatment, because I knew I was an addict, I was trying to keep it quiet from my family. You know, so I was doing my best to try and hide it. And that was the perfect environment to hide in.
Yeah.
Because
Just hiding in plain sight.
no one was going to ask me anything. And that continued for years until, and I couldn't maintain a job. I was partying all the time. I was drinking all the time. I was smoking a lot of weed. I was spending time with more and more people like me. And at the same time, I was going from like having a corporate-ish job, but I really wanted to pursue a career in the arts and in music. So I surrounded myself with people in the entertainment industry, which again, more substances. No offense.
No, with love.
I love
Said with love.
artists. I love artists. But it is an environment that can be very alcohol and drug fueled. And also just not the healthiest, I think, for like a young girl who's like looking for support and mentorship. But I come out of rehab in 2015. I'm doing jobs, like professional jobs, odd jobs, figuring out my way in the art scene. I become an editor of a magazine. I start interviewing artists. I start recording. I just am surrounding myself with people like me, and I'm going to a lot of parties.
Yes.
And then I decided, okay, I'm going to take this music thing seriously, but I need money to do that, but I don't want to work a full-time job. So I'm going to move to South Korea to make money as a teacher and record on the side.
Yeah.
Which I did.
How long were you in Korea?
I was there for about a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Leading up to that, though, was probably the most intense part of my drinking. I was drinking like crazy before I went to Korea because they test you for drugs when you show up, but they don't test you for alcohol. So I was drinking like a lunatic. And then when I got there, I was like, okay, now this is where I'm going to stop drinking.
Geographical, leave the country, go somewhere else. I can stop here.
Yeah. But everywhere I went, I took myself and all my stuff with me. So obviously I got there and I was still an addict and I just drank like crazy. They have this thing they call soju. It's like a rice wine, rice cider thing. Fuck soju, let me tell you. I was a primary school teacher and I would drink this thing all night with my other teachers and I'd show up with a hangover that was like so violent. It was like radiating off my body. That thing's like 50% alcohol, isn't it? Yeah, it's like rice wine. It's very intense. And also so much sugar. So just Yeah,
It's
terrible.
ill, like become very ill. Yeah.
Terrible experience. But I did record. Yeah, I did manage to make some music. So
While you were there.
yeah.
Wow. So okay. And how was it teaching the kids? Could they tell? Could anyone tell? Or were you good at? Oh, they knew.
When I first arrived, I wasn't managing it very well, and my boss was like, "You're so angry all the time," and I was like, "Okay, I need to work on this." But I figured out how to manage it to be able to be around children.
Yeah.
Just because I love kids and I don't want them to like take my smoke. But my evenings were really out of control.
Yo. And that's a year of your life.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating you were making music there.
Mm-hmm.
So you found your people, like the arts within
Not
South
really.
Korea.
I just found a studio and I would go to that studio on the weekends and make music
Wow.
with this guy. And yeah, we made some cool music, but music is just a part of my life.
Yes.
So I can't really help. I have to do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you went there for a year, you made the money,
Mm-hmm.
and coming back.
COVID hits in Korea.
What?
And
Wait.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but basically, there was like a hotspot of COVID spreading in Korea.
Yes.
And our schools all got shut down, and we didn't know what it was at that point. But my mother was like, "You need to come home immediately." So I did, and I came back to Joburg after a year of not smoking marijuana. I landed at Oratile within 2 hours. I was at my dealer's house.
Of course.
Yeah, I was at my dealer's house. I was high. I was quarantining, but I was actually just getting high. And then I moved back in with my family, and the cycle started all over again.
So that's the drinking alone in 2020. And there was no booze. I remember that there was no booze. People were making their own booze. It was we were under prohibition in 2020, my dudes.
You're already sober at this time.
I was sober, so that but they took away my cigarettes. To anyone who isn't from South Africa, they took away cigarettes during COVID. So I was going to the dealer to get cigarettes. Like, you would have someone pop past your house and they'd sell you a carton and you take that. But I
don't know anything about that. I've never committed any crimes.
Never.
No.
Aura is a completely crimeless
Yeah.
human
In fact,
being.
I'm very famous for not interacting with dealers.
She doesn't know any dealers. Never been to a trap house.
Nope. Never.
But with the alcohol ban,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it was like going through that as someone who struggles. Like, that concerned me. As a sober person, I was
Withdrawal
like,
from alcohol is so ugly.
you can die.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Alcohol, benzos, I think codeine, and heroin.
Yeah.
Those withdrawals are horrific and
Yeah.
break my actual heart.
Yeah, it was too much. So I went to go stay with my friend who had a bunch of alcohol. And 2020, 2021 was the peak of my addiction. I've never drank as much. I've never taken as much cocaine. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how dark that must have been. I say this to everyone, people who went through 2020 inactive, or it breaks my fucking heart. Like, just the isolation, lack of access, getting sick, everything, all in a tiny isolated place. It's the perfect place for addiction to be fueled.
It didn't start like that. So how do I explain? I had
Tell
a
me.
friend who had just bought this beautiful apartment in Sandton. She had a 3-bedroom apartment. She was one of my dearest friends. So I move in with her. I move out of my parents' house. I move in with her. We're all working from home. There's another girl who's staying with us at the time. The 3 of us are very close friends. Our other friends would like pop in to visit and work.
Yeah.
We would drink during the day, do cocaine at night.
As you do.
At first it was fine. It was like just on the weekends. Then it started becoming every day. Then it just became all we did. We would just hold on to our jobs and like what we had to do.
Yeah.
And then we would always do coke.
Yeah.
Like, other people would come with like their little ciders for a little braai, and we would clear the table. She had a glass table. We would clear the table and
She had a glass table. Sorry.
If you know, you know. So that's what we would do. And then one of our friends was like, "Guys, this is too much for me." And she checked herself into a psychiatric facility.
Oh, wow.
That didn't stop us. We continued. We would go to this underground club in Newtown called The Third Place. At first it was really fun. I was like hooking up with one of the owners. He was so fine.
My girl.
He was so fine. I was an absolute lunatic. I'm very sorry if you ever watch this. I'm sorry. I kind of stalked this guy. I was just there all the time.
I have done things
Yeah.
as such in my life, so I get it.
Yeah. So we were there, we were partying, we were doing lots of drugs, and it was all cool until it wasn't. And then some of our friends' parents started passing away from COVID. Things started to get really serious. It's like we weren't really dealing with personal consequences, but one of my friends, one of my very close friends at the time, his mom passed away from COVID. And that was the first time where I was like, okay, I have to try and look after this person, because he had already at that point attempted suicide. Like in the years before I'd met him, he had already like been through so much in addiction. So I was really trying to prevent him from dying, as if that's something that was in my control. But soon after his mom passed, our friend group started breaking down, and I decided I was going to get sober because I'd already had exposure to the 12-step fellowship. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to rehab. I'm going to go back and see if I can actually get recovery this time. And I did. And yeah, the rest is history.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
There's so much there as well. The way you describe it, and I think it's important to see this, is that addiction isn't all darkness and recovery isn't all light. Like there's light within addiction. If there wasn't, it would never progress. It's not how it works. There's a good feeling you get in it. Going out, partying, feeling connection, because you've been seeking that. And then you find it in that space. And it's very easy to miss what else is going on around you when you find something you've been seeking for so long. And it puts blinders on. And to go through something as traumatic as COVID, and then watching a friend go through absolute pain, and having to deal with that's a huge, huge dose of reality at a time that was easy to escape reality. In fact, I think there must have been so many relapses in 2020.
Yeah, and so many just young people dying. I mean, I lost 2 friends, people my age.
Breaks my heart.
Okay, one person actually did die of COVID, and the other was like a drug-related, drug-related death.
Yeah, it was a really isolating time, but a time that you can mask with, there's no rules now, even though there were, like you can get cigarettes, but I could get them illegally. Like it's a time it didn't feel like reality, like at all, nothing. And then you get hit with reality when you're affected by pain at that time. So that's what drove you to, and then you, the person who went to a facility, who knew when Ora says the program, the 12-step program, you knew there was a place you could go without rehab, which I think is also important in your story, is that not everyone has to get clean through rehab. There are possible ways to do it, and you chose to go back to a 12-step meeting. What was that like, going back in there?
I was experiencing the most bone-crushing, freezing loneliness I'd ever experienced. I had people around me, but I wasn't connecting with anyone. I had a job, but I was holding on by an absolute thread. I couldn't go maybe like 24 hours without a drink. It was just a very painful time, and it's hard to even connect with that experience right now because I'm so far from it. But I was just like a shell of a human, and completely just like stripped of any kind of self-care, compassion. But I'm just glad that I knew there was somewhere that I could go, and I also knew that I didn't have it in me to go into a treatment facility and live in a bubble and then come out and try and deal with life. I was like, I have this one chance, and I'm going to seize it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you describe it, I know you're so far removed from it, and it's hard to recognize it, but I will never forget the first time I met you, ever. I'll never forget it, because, and I don't want to say you were a broken shell of a person, but you were genuinely struggling. Like, when you can see someone's pain. I could see your pain. I don't want to use the word desperation because I don't like that word, but it's like I could see you wanted something else. And you were sitting with so much discomfort, but you were allowing yourself to sit with it. and you kept coming back to these meetings and you kept crying in these meetings and you kept sharing and listening. And that what was the hardest part about getting sober at first? Because did you experience withdrawals?
No.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. I didn't experience withdrawals. I didn't want to use at all. The main challenge for me was my emotions.
Yeah.
Everything came to the surface as soon as I stopped using, because I used drugs to escape my feelings and numb my feelings, and that's how I managed.
Yeah.
Was with drugs and other things. And so when I stopped using them, all the shit I was running away from just came to the surface, and there was a lot of it, and there was a lot of pain, and it's taken me like the better part of 4 years to actually really learn how to live with it.
Can you take us I keep saying, can you take us through that
Yeah.
process? I do apologize for that. I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
find a new way of saying that.
It's okay.
Give me another way to say it. What were the feelings that came? Could you even identify your feelings when you first got sober? I struggled with that. Like, is that anger or is that, what is that?
Despair.
Yeah, that's
Despair and misery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt very hopeless, but I was determined. I was like, okay, this thing is working. At least I'm not using.
Yeah.
I just had every emotion: despair, guilt, shame, despair, guilt, shame. Just that cycle over and over again for probably about the first 6 months. So I just didn't do anything besides cry and feel depressed for the first 6 months of my recovery.
Did you go to meetings all the time?
All the time.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. This is something that I left out, but my friend and I got sober. We got clean together. So when, after a few weeks of me being in the meetings, one of the people I'd been using with consistently, he was really struggling, and I took my laptop to his house and put on an online meeting, and he's been clean since that day. And we just went to every meeting together. We did everything together. We did the first 2 years of our recovery together, and I attribute the quality of my recovery to that. I think just because of how insanely traumatized I was, I probably would have gotten clean anyway, but I don't think I would have had the amount of freedom that I have if I didn't have him by my side. Because for me, the biggest challenge of my recovery was releasing people from my life. But I had him, so I had someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a safe
Yeah.
person who
Yeah.
knew your past.
Yep.
Nothing. You're not relearning things about each other. You're learning not together, but separately.
The thing about it is that recovery is such a new thing. If you are new to it, if it's your first serious attempt at it, I needed someone to keep me accountable. And I think that's what I struggled with the first time, is that if somebody had just said to me, if somebody had just called bullshit on my excuses, then I probably would have been like, oh, okay, maybe I should try and look at things differently. But he and I would really challenge each other and be like, okay, so why aren't you doing the work?
What's the work?
The work is looking at yourself without judgment and just being, okay, this is why you're suffering. What are you going to do about it?
It's so hard to get to that point. Do you remember the moment you got to the point and said, listen, I need to unpack a lot of stuff? Or did you just let it happen organically? Or did it help with the 12 steps, doing step work? What were the things you learned along the way to start to identifying how to cope?
To be honest, my emotions just flooded me in the first year, and I wasn't actually able to start the steps up until a year in. So what helped me was my friend. I would just talk to him about everything. I would tell him everything. And I had somebody with me that was rooting for me. I was rooting for him, and I could tell him anything. And I don't know what, like I said, just the quality of my life would be so different, because I think I'd still have stuff that I need to process now if I didn't have that experience, which is why I think we can't enter recovery by ourselves. It is about connecting with other people, with like-minded people, and people that are going through or have gone through the exact same thing, just to let you know that it's okay. Because in the world, you're not going to find anyone who's going to offer you that level of empathy and recognition.
So that's why support groups are important to you. Because for me, when I went into recovery, all my friends were still in active addiction. And I, exactly like you, I kept going back to them. I kept going back to those people. There was this one girl, right? and I loved her to bits and pieces. I can't tell you. Like to this day, my soul, I love her so much. And she was one of like my closest friends. I met her in active addiction. And I'm going to cry. Letting go of that friendship was one of the hardest things I have ever had to do in my life. Bro, like, because I really deeply cared for her. And everyone likes to vilify like friends they had in active addiction. Not everyone, like just people in general, society outside of an addict community. Like our parents will be like, those people were bad for you. You know, don't go back to that house.
No, it's me. It's me.
Yeah, it's me.
It's me. I'm
It's
starting
me.
everything.
100%.
I'm pushing. I'm the pusher.
100%. It's like they didn't come to the house and steal things. I was like, come with me to the house, let's steal things.
Yeah.
But they were also just as sick as I was. And so knowing I have to walk away from that, every time I didn't walk away, I went for a reason. I was like, I'm going to go back because I can use with them successfully. And that's to be honest. But when I really had to disconnect myself from those friends and from that girl in particular, I was heartbroken because I really wanted her to be okay. Because when you come into that clarity and you realize the stuff you've put yourself through, the stuff you put other people through, and you can see the harm done to you as well. Because guess what? Harm is done to addicts too. You know, we don't just harm. As a woman, you become a very easy target as an addict. And you start to see that. And walking away from her made me heartbroken. And I haven't seen her in like 13 years up until recently. I did bump into her and she's doing so good.
Oh, really?
So good. So good. So good.
Oh, that's amazing.
But like it was hard because I felt like I've abandoned someone. Like I felt embarrassed that I had to walk away and end that friendship. I felt shame that I had to walk away and end that friendship because why can't I protect her? But I really couldn't, because if I kept going back into that space, there would still be that opportunity for me to keep using and more harm to be done. It's such a horrible place to be in. So if one of my friends from active came with me into a recovery space, I can't imagine how, also like just both really wanting to do it and not for alternative reasons, for no motives other than I just want to get better. Must have been, I can't relate to that experience because I can't imagine it, but I saw it.
Yeah, it's God's plan.
Yeah.
And to this day, he's still one of my favorite people. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't just like any friend, just really someone that I love and admire and just have so much respect for.
Well, that's incredible. I love that. I love that
really
so
fortunate.
much.
Yeah.
What I learned is I could find those people without going in. So I went in alone, was finding those people in the space just for that time, you know, just for that time. If it needed to be a short amount of time or if it's a friend for years, just someone in that space that made me feel human connection without substance.
Yes.
And that I did not think was possible.
Yes.
You know, and also learning I don't need to like everyone in the space.
That's probably one of the most important lessons in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you can learn that in a support group.
Yeah, you can. You're just dealing with human beings. You know, it's like a microcosm of reality. We don't like everyone in the real world. Why would we like everyone like within our fellowships or our groups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that I had to love everyone in the fellowship. Like
I think I do.
No, not like I do love everyone in the fellowship.
I love everyone, period. But the way I think of like my love for humanity and humans is that it's fairly impersonal because I don't have to have personal relationships with everyone. But the people that I do have personal relationships with, I hold them to a high standard because you have access to me, which means you can harm me.
Yeah.
And I have access to you, which means I can harm you. So let's do our best to really show up for each other. Yeah. Yeah. Let's love each other.
I love that. And so my problem was I thought I had to sit in a room. I just really feel like I need to verbalize that better. I thought I would sit in a 12-step room or any kind of support group really. And I thought I would have to like relate to every single thing and agree with every single thing. That's what I thought. So when I didn't agree with something, I would be like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Or start passing judgment on other people for no reason. For no reason, just because I think I don't agree with what you just said about recovery in that sense. What I did learn was, and I love this saying, is the similarities rather than the differences. And when you see that, you feel this immense love and gratitude because whatever we've been through, we all ended up in this chair, sitting around a circle together and relearning or just learning how connection really works. You know, did any of that make sense?
1,000,000%.
Okay.
And, I've been there.
Yeah. And I saw you go through that process. So the learning process, so what have you learned the most, or what are you still dealing with in this recovery now?
I would say that 12-step recovery is the foundation of the life that I have right now. But I had a lot of other stuff to work on, and I'm very fortunate that I went after it because I was dealing with so much shame and so much guilt. So I started looking for other ways to heal, and that's what led me to somatic healing, to meditation, to just the other healing modalities that now are like a part of my practice. And what I'm working on right now is living with myself.
Yeah.
Just really
Yeah.
accepting everything that makes me me, because I think the fundamental part of my illnesses is not being able to manage my emotions.
How do you, can I say something just
Yeah.
about one of the things I find amazing about you, and one of the things I learn from a lot with you is when you are going through something, or you are struggling with something, or you figured out something that about yourself you want to work on, or something you just need to move through, you will always verbalize it to the people in your life, well, to me, and say, I'm going through this. I'm going to take some time for me, and I'm going to work through it. And you do. Like, I have done that before in my life, but I'm not that honest about it. I'll keep it to myself for a bit. You really do the work. And you also like that you mentioned, you've got your own process. You've found your own spiritual path. You do recovery in that way. I know you love your 12-step meetings, and you found a path that makes your life manageable, but beautiful. And that, like, it starts off manageable and then it becomes beautiful. And I've seen that with you. Like, I can't explain seeing you sitting in that room. It wasn't a room. We were outside at one of the meetings, and you were sitting, you won't even know. I don't even think you'll remember this. You were sitting outside and you were sobbing. You were sobbing. You had just shared, and you were sobbing. And I just walked up to you and I gave you a hug. I was like, can I hug you? Because you never know if people want hugs as well. And like, but I just wanted to hug you so bad. And then you just kept coming to these meetings and coming to these meetings. And I swear, there's nothing more magnificent to me than literally watching someone get their light back. That really, really happened with you, because you had light, but I watched it really, the brightness got turned up. And it was like this beautiful process to see you move through it. And I see you move through it every single day. Like, you really do the work every single day. You make hard decisions some days. You make amazing decisions for yourself. You're learning consistently. And I learn from you every single time I speak to you. Every single time. And I really want you to know that. Like, I know, like, the work you've done.
Ditto.
Ditto.
The thing is, I just wanted more than to be clean.
Yeah.
I still want more than to be clean. I want to experience whatever this life has for me. And I don't think that I could get there if I didn't take on more work for myself. And that's why I felt like I had to figure out what else is wrong with me. And also life showed me, like, after about 2 years of being sober, my eating disorder became apparent, and that's something that I had to work on. The 3rd year, my codependency became like an issue that I had to work on. The 4th year, my nervous system became the thing that I needed to work on. So, like, with each of these manifestations of like suffering, I've had to take on different tools to help myself. And it's because I just have this lust for life. I want to see what the world has to offer me, and I don't think that I could have just gotten it from one modality of healing.
I love that you said you wanted more than just to be clean. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, but there's a big difference to me, my opinion. There's a big difference between sobriety and recovery. It doesn't matter where you find that recovery, whether it's 12 steps, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through merging all these different things you find. It doesn't matter how, or through harm reduction. There's recovery and sobriety are two very different things. And for a long time in my sobriety, I wasn't necessarily in recovery until, for me, I feel like I really found recovery when I was okay to say, all this other stuff is coming up for me. And you know what? It's fucking hard. And I actually need to work through this. Sobriety did give me people in my life that would trust me and be around me and allow me to heal and learn. And then recovery came in with me saying, I need help. And I'm going to do what it takes to get that help. And it's going to hurt at some point. I'm going to make awful decisions at some point. It's not perfect. It's not all light. There's shadows involved. And I need to make sense of them.
Being a person is having a shadow. And there's nothing we can do about that. And I think the greatest disservice that we do to just young people in general is not acknowledging that, life is light and dark, and darkness isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Because if I had known that, if I had had an understanding of the fact that pain is a part of life, I wouldn't have spent so much time trying to not have pain. And instead of trying to understand pain and whatever lesson it was there to teach me.
Yeah.
Whereas now I recognize that forgiveness and just telling the truth are like my weapons against my pain, or at least my way of processing my pain,
That's beautiful, Ora. That's so beautiful. My God. You said you look forward to seeing where life takes you. I look forward to seeing where life takes you, because I know you're just gonna soar. I've seen this growth, and it's so inspiring. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but Ora does in fact have a YouTube channel where she has started opening up about your recovery journey as well, your addiction, your recovery journey, life in general. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yes, obviously I'm on YouTube, and the channel's called Ora Beloved. And I mean, I'm on all the platforms, but I love YouTube just because I get the opportunity to tell my story, because there's a lot more to my healing journey than the 12 steps.
Yes.
And I'm finally getting comfortable to talk about that.
I love that. And that's what I want people to know.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. If it works, it works. And you find what works for you. And that's what's the most important aspect of recovery, is deeply personal. It's not one size fits all. It can't be. It can't be. And neither is addiction.
Yeah, that's the thing. Addiction doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
Anyone can be an addict. But recovery is also for everybody. And it can be just as individual, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's just about people needing to acknowledge that. And I think it's important that we do acknowledge that, so as not to isolate the most isolated group of people, stop isolating and offer autonomy in recovery too. And that's the most empowering part of recovery, is getting that autonomy back anyway.
Yeah, let's just accept people as they are, because everybody does have free will.
Yeah.
And if we're not hurting anyone, if we're actually healing ourselves and maybe have the opportunity to help just one person, I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do that.
And I'm so grateful for you. I just love you.
Love you too.
Thank you for being here and just being a part of this. Ora is a huge part of this. Ora has helped me manage schedules creatively in every which way possible, and this would not be possible without you.
Thank you.
And I am just so grateful for you in my life, and as a massive, massive part of my recovery. Thank you for just always being you, unapologetically. It's really beautiful to witness.
Thank you. And thanks for this channel, just for the work that you do for our community.
Go subscribe to Ora's channel, please, because trust me, it's going to change lives. And I'm going to give her a hug right now. And remember, we do recover. Look at Carly's things.
Yo.
How did